1-800-449-8255. Clark the Shark Show. Sometimes at night I just Google, I put 25 reasons why Christianity is false, just to see what people say out there. Last night I copied this one. Atheist Alliance International. It's got this picture of, the Lord. 8 reasons. There he is, you guys. Why the United States and God bless America, the whole bit. That guy. Right there. Over in the land of Israel, the Jewish people worshipped a god called Yahweh. Old Testament. And then this guy came along and said, well, I'm his son. So, it was kind of predicted long ago in the Old Testament, there'd be a guy come along, and here it is right here, you guys, the reasons. So I went over here, I copied them last night. The reasons, here's, I think, 8 reasons. I don't know, 10, 15, 8, I don't know. There is clear evidence that prayer does not work despite the Bible promising prayers will be answered. There's evidence that prayer doesn't work, you guys. Clark the Shark. I don't know about that. There's clear evidence that prayer doesn't work. Now, in the New Testament, Jesus says, knock and ye shall receive. But I think he means in general, overall. I mean, sometimes the answer is going to be no. You know what they say, God answers all prayers, and sometimes the answer is no. Remember that on MASH 4077? I do. Come on, you guys. The world is a will to power. We can't all be millionaires and billionaires. It would be heaven, maybe, if we could. There is clear evidence. Number one, somebody wrote this. They wrote this, I think, on Atheist Alliance. Something about prayer. Dude, that's just stupid, that's your proof. God doesn't exist. Is he doesn't answer prayers. Dude, if I was God, I wouldn't answer a liberal's prayers or an atheist's prayers or anyone's prayers either. At 1-800-449-8255. I would like to mess with them as much as I could and watch them squirm and see them suffer. That would be funner right here on the Clark the Shark Show. 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, you guys. There is clear evidence that, now here's number 2, I guess. There's clear evidence. I put this one in yellow, so I could read it. There is clear evidence that humans invent gods. That's true, you guys. Humans have invented so many gods that the default assumption should be that a god is a supernatural entity invented by humans. Christianity would need solid evidence that the Jewish God is an exception to the rule, but there is no such evidence. Well, Christians would say faith, Now, what they're talking about here is Yahweh, the Jewish God. See, we don't know if, how they say the Jews were the chosen people, and 1,000, 7,000, I don't know how many thousands of years ago, young earthers would say, well, the Jews were the only ones here, come from Adam and Eve, the lineage going back. you know, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, all that. Um, you know, you either believe that or you don't. Like the world was made in 6 or 7 days, and uh, some Christians are young earthers, like it's only 8,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 years old. And then some Christians are like, no, we evolved from monkeys over, millions and billions of years. Even though there is no evidence of evolution, and Charles Darwin, uh, he was just saying it was a theory. He didn't know about DNA and all that stuff. If he did, he probably would have thrown his own theory out the window. Now, I don't know what happened here, but my view is this world at some point was created, maybe perhaps not like the Bible says, but something like that, you guys. Now, Carbon-14 says man appeared, I think, either 100,000 years ago or 200,000 years ago. But there's no evidence of any monkeys or even Neanderthals or anything turning into humans. They're all totally different. That's one of the biggest problems of evolution. And that's just man. Giraffes and dogs and cats and grasshoppers and iguanas and kangaroos and mole rats and bears and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, Sharky. None of them have any missing links or evolution or evolutionary evidence either. It looks really weird, you guys. It looks like it was created. But, the Bible says, this happened like this in 6 days. And, a lot of Christians are like, Sharky, that's what the Bible says at 1-800-449-8255. You either have faith in that or you don't. And then the weird part is a lot of Catholics, Protestants, and Christians are like, no, we don't believe the earth was created in 7 or 6 days. We believe kind of like an evolution or something like evolution, even though there is no proof of evolution at all. None, you guys, zero. There are a lot of Christians that are like, yeah, it might be true that we did evolve slowly over millions and billions of years, even though there is no evidence of evolution, you guys, none. And Darwin, had he known about DNA, dude, he would have thrown his own theory right out the window or right down the toilet. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. So I don't know what's going on, you guys. I always plead ignorance, and I say, it doesn't look like the world was created in 6 or 7 days like the Old Testament of the Bible, Adam and Eve. That looks like a load of nonsense, but there was no evolution either. And the theory of evolution looks maybe more like nonsense, you guys, or equal to Adam and Eve and all that. 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. I'm left just totally confused as to what happened, you guys. And then a lot of people are like, well, Sharky, you got to have faith, bro. You got to believe. And I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm sorry, that's what a lot of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, and even Buddha and all that other stuff, Confucius, Hindu, and all the others, Shinto, whatever it's called, indigenous religions, they're all kind of like Greek mythology in a way, you guys. In the end, there is clear evidence. Here's number 3, I guess. It says number 1. I don't know what happened here, you guys. 10, let me see how many I copied. 15. Oh, there's 15, you guys. So I guess this is number 3 from the Atheist Alliance website. There is clear evidence that religions and gods are propagated through culture by infecting children, and no evidence that they are propagated by gods. Yeah, well, I don't know about that, you guys. Like, you teach children about Jesus and, or, some, I mean, just because you teach a kid, sometimes they just don't listen or don't believe. And then there's always that thing where, look, we need religion, we need morality and ethics, like the old man in the cave on the Twilight Zone, or we're all going to die. And that might be true, you guys. We teach our children about God and Jesus and stuff for strong foundation, morals, ethics, and solidity, education, and whether there is probably there is evidence that someone who believes in God or believes in, the hereafter or whatever has a better life or stronger life than those who don't. Or, sometimes there's atheists or people that don't believe that have a good life or they make a ton of money. But then, when they die, they're always like, dude, what's going on? I'm dying, so you don't, if you're in that situation where you're dying and you're not happy about it, that's a bad situation. That's like, how they say all's well that ends well. Well, it doesn't end well for atheists or those people. And then there's the other flip side of the coin where Christianity, Christians and religious people of all in any stripe are just believing in something that's false, but it's giving their brain a good feeling. So, it says there is no evidence that religions and gods are propagated through culture. I'm sorry. There is clear evidence that religions and gods are propagated through culture by infecting children. And, so in other words, there's no evidence that God is doing it. We're doing it. In other words, the humans are teaching our younger humans, like a bird feeds, worms and bugs to its baby bird. The baby birds all have their mouth open, in the nest. You know how that is. And that's how little kids are. They're hungry for, food, but also foundation and a direction, a compass, morals, ethics, whether they know it, want it, whatever, they sense it. Everyone wants foundation, you guys, solidity. They want that more than like anything. But that, I'm torn on that, number 3, I guess. I just don't know what to make of that. There's clear evidence, this is number 4, that Christianity has evolved as human understanding of the world has changed while real God-given religion should never need to change. Like the world, like we've adapted to computers and all this stuff and cars and travel and buildings. And, Christianity needs to adjust to that. Or something. Like Christianity has evolved as human understanding of the world has changed while real God-given religion should never need to change. Well, we don't know if it should never need to change. We just don't know. And to a big degree, nothing's changed. Sin is nothing's really changed. Like Christianity hasn't evolved. The 10 Commandments haven't evolved. So I disagree with number 4. There is clear evidence that Christianity has evolved. Like maybe it's gotten more lenient, but if it was really from God, it wouldn't need to change, nor would it change at all. It would stay rigid, but that's interesting, to look at. But honestly, the 10 Commandments haven't changed. If you jack off, it's a sin now, just like it was 2,000 years ago or whatever. If you kill someone or rape someone or shoot someone, you got to go confess it or be convicted, depending on the Christian or Muslim or Jewish religion or whatever, or indigenous religion. If someone sees you hit someone with a rock, there's still evidence that is the same sin in the 10 Commandments in 2023 as it was in the year 17 AD. So nothing's changed. So number 4 says there's clear evidence that Christianity has evolved. I don't know. I don't think it has, you guys, and I don't think there's evidence of that. I could be wrong. 5, there is clear evidence that humans on this planet have unequal access to Christianity. So if Christianity were true, billions would be condemned to hell for no fault of their own. This contradicts the Christian notion that God is omnibenevolent. Well, that's true, you guys, and that's one I have trouble with. Is like if you're some black dude that lives out in the Congo in the bush, or an Aboriginal Australian, or some guy that lives on an island, or down in the Amazon, you never heard of Jesus. Well, how can you be sent to hell? I mean, it doesn't make sense. And then they say, well, because Adam and Eve, they sinned, Sharky. I have always had trouble with the Adam and Eve thing too, you guys. The wheels have come off that one. Like, we are all related to them, dude. Like, dude, you and me are related to Adam and Eve. What does it matter if I'm related to Adam and Eve? I even asked that when I was 5 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. And my dad would say, well, original sin, you got to get baptized to get rid of original sin. And I'd be like, what does baptism, like, dude, how could you have an original sin if you're a different entity from Adam and Eve? It's just a real, no one can really convince me on that one. There is clear evidence that humans on the planet have unequal access to Christianity. That's true, you guys. That is, number, I guess it's number 5. Here it says number 9. But there is clear evidence that the Bible, supposedly inspired by God, is liberally sprinkled with the type of errors we would expect from its Iron Age authors, but not expect from the creator of the universe. Well, because the Bible is a book written by humans. It never was claimed to be written by God himself. So humans make mistakes. But then there's those who are like, Clark the Shark, this is the word of God. It can't be wrong. The Bible is totally, completely true. Yeah, dude, like, the world was created in 6 days, bro. It's totally true, huh? They're like, yeah, Sharky, the world's only 5,000 years old. I'm like, well, maybe it is. If it is, then, then God is kind of a jerk. Either way you go. If there were dinosaurs and UFOs, and if we really evolved from monkeys, that's a dick move, and if that really happened, and then if it was created in 6 days, both lead you to be pissed off, and you're like, what's going on here, man? On the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. And then people are like, dude, just have faith and be happy, and just sit around praying. And you could do that, dude. That's like smoking weed and just fucking smoke weed, drink beer, drop acid, smoke meth, do speed, and be happy, Shark. So there's some Christians or Bible people that the Bible is just their version of getting high or something. I'm not being facetious here, or trying to pull your leg or be funny here. It's true, you guys. Some people are just like, they don't even know why they're praying. They don't even know why they're so happy and so euphoric in their belief. And then there's a part of you that's like, man, I wish I could be that happy, like that Christian person who's just always praying. And they're so full of glorious happiness. And then you wonder, are they really, or is it just dopamine or just serotonin levels going up? You're just left confused by that one, dude. There is clear evidence that the Bible, supposedly inspired by God, is liberally sprinkled with errors and contradictions, you guys. It appears to be. But, I kind of give that one, the people who wrote the Bible, they're trying to talk to God or get inside the brain of God or get God's message into their brain so they can write it down. And they did the best they could, you guys. It's allegorical, metaphorical metaphors. They did all they could 2,000, 8,000 years ago, whenever it was. That's the best they could do, you guys. So don't fault it. And that's why I say there's a lot of wiggle room in it, like I say, it's one thing to send a guy that's 6'3" and good looking to heaven or hell who can get all the babes, but then like a black dude or a short Mexican dude or a 5'6" white dude or a nerdy dude, everyone's like, oh, it's one size fits all, Sharky, or some guy with two heads, or he's born with 15 fingers, or he's in a wheelchair or something. One size doesn't fit all, dude. Like a pretty beautiful girl that can get any guy. You can't compare her to some fat chick who can't. I mean, although people are like, Sharky, one size fits all, if the fat girl robs a bank, it's the same thing as if a pretty girl robs a bank. I'm like, well, I'm not talking about robbing a bank, although it's nice to have money. I'm just talking about getting laid or meeting a suitor or a spouse, or, like a fat chick is not going to be able to do it like a cute chick. So that's kind of an uneven thing happening, you guys, right there. Just like a nerdy guy isn't going to be able to have all the breaks in life that a good looking guy is going to have, or maybe just some lucky guy, who knows? Or some guy, like the Bible even says, like there's certain people God likes more, and he blesses them with better and gooder things or something. You just can't figure it out, you guys, right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. Christian theology is incoherent to the point of absurdity. God killing his son so he can forgive our future sin is like me breaking my son's legs so I can forgive my neighbor in case she ever parks her car on my drive. It is quite ridiculous, but I don't think it meant it like that, you guys. It means, this whole thing about God releasing his only son amongst the humans. And it wasn't God that killed the son. It was us humans that did it. So God is like, hey, man, I put my only son amongst you, and then you guys killed him. Dude, you guys, not me. It was you. And then we're like, well, dude, you're God, bro. You're all powerful. You could have come down and saved him, and God's like, no, you humans did it because you guys are bad. But you had to do it so he could rise again and save all of you. It's very confusing, you guys. I don't get it either. Me, Clark the Shark-a-llama ding-dong, Shark-a-doodle-doo, right here at 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone, where it's not a microphone. I don't get that, you guys. Christian theology is incoherent to the point of absurdity. God killing his son so he can forgive our future sin is like me breaking my son's leg so I can forgive my neighbor in case she ever parks her car in my driveway. It is quite ridiculous. I don't know, you guys. I've wondered that myself. And there are a lot of religions and pagan religions where somebody sacrificed, or like the lamb's blood on the door, like sacrifice, like, oh, I'm going to sacrifice a human, my son. He's going to suffer and die and be buried and have a horrible death. And then he's going to rise again. And, the 500 will see him, and I'm still like, well, my friend, he suffered. The poor guy suffering ain't cool and ain't fun. And Jesus went through some bad suffering. And then they buried him. He's probably underground in a coffin, scared. And then he realized, oh, dude, on the third day, he rose again. He went to hell and rescued souls in hell. But then I'm like, well, that's a lot of work you're going to, God. You could have just made this heaven instead of all that. That's just a big thing. And then a lot of faithful people, Baptists, Catholics, Christians, are like, have faith. Dude, it really happened, Sharky. And I'm like, it's just weird, dude. How can I don't even know what to do with that, If I sent my only son, no one would be killing my son, dude. My son would be kicking ass and taking no names and shit. But they're like, Sharky, if that happens, then he wouldn't be a martyr or a victim, and we wouldn't believe in him. And I'm like, I don't care, dude. And then they're like, well, Sharky, in a way that did happen. He rose from the dead. Then he was strong and he went up to heaven and all that. And that's why we believe in him, because he's strong, or he's holy. He's supernatural. And, that there's something to that, you guys. I'm confused right here on the Clark the Shark Show. But I just think it would have been easier if God would have just made this heaven and gotten rid of the earth and the sun and the solar system and And they're like, no, Sharky, it's better this way. Trust me. Don't you want to earn it? Don't you want to go to heaven and earn it? And I'm all, if I'm in heaven, I get everything for free. Like it's EBT card up in heaven. And, where I live in this big killer place with all these hot chicks and all these nice Porsches and Lamborghinis and McLarens. And I live in a big, gigantic mansion. They're like, yeah, Sharky, you're going to have all that. Don't you want to feel proud? And you earned it. You went through all this crap on the earth. I'm like, yeah, dude, like I've said before, if I see God, he'll be the first guy. Like I either want to sock him in the face or kick him or something when I get to heaven, dude. And some people are like, no, bow down, even though your life sucked and they all hated you and all this stuff. And what does that matter, Sharky? You're going to heaven. There's something to that too. What does it all matter if they all hated you? And, look, you passed the test. Like in Willy Wonka, remember Charlie? He didn't give Slugworth the everlasting gobstopper. He gave it to Willy Wonka. It's like that, Clark the Shark, 1-800-449-8255. I don't know, you guys. Like it's like a beautiful allegorical reasoning, metaphor, a beautiful little limerick, like a story, more than a hardcore, ass kicking, like we won the Stanley Cup 4-3 and triple overtime. What does it even matter at that point, you guys? We all won or we all lost or we're all tired and worn out now or something. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. And people are all, you just don't get it, Sharky. It's going to be beautiful. I'm like, dude, it would just be beautiful just to make heaven. And they're like, no, you wouldn't earn it. You have to earn it like the Lord. You have to get nailed to a cross and swords thrown at you and urine poured on you and a crown of thorns put on your head. You have to earn it. I'm like, okay, you guys, you got to earn it, Sharky. That's why you just don't understand, Sharky. At 1-800-449-8255, there is clear evidence that the arguments presented for the existence of the Jewish God are logically flawed. All of them have been shown to be unreliable. If this were not the case, all honest, intelligent people would accept that God exists, just as all honest, intelligent people accept the black holes exist. Well, first of all, I don't even know if black holes exist, you guys. I don't even know if any of this exists. This could all just be a figment of the imagination of Clark the Shark, right here from the golden EIB sharkerphone, not a microphone. But yeah, that is weird. There's clear evidence that the Jewish God, Yahweh, the guy who built the world in 6 days and all that. I think it has a story that talks about origin of the earth. And I don't think any other religions have this story like the book of Genesis, the way Yahweh book does, the Old Testament. And there are probably other beginnings of other religions. I don't know. Maybe there are, where they have their own version of Genesis. But I believe what happened is, I don't know what I believe what happened, you guys. I don't know if this Yahweh is really the God, or maybe there's a part of my brain that's like, yeah, Sharky, he is God, the Jewish God. And then Christ came, it's his only son. But then I'm like, why don't the Jews accept Christ? And I have been told that Jews are like, well, because he didn't come in glory. Wasn't on a cloud with lightning bolts like the Stanley Cup and a light show and electricity raining down. He wasn't glorious enough. He was just some guy, and born in a manger. He was a guy that worked like construction, a carpenter or a fisherman, and that can't be the guy, Sharky. It had to be bigger and better than that. But I'm like, well, it does kind of say in the Old Testament that the guy, I'm not sure about this, but I think he isn't necessarily a glorious thing coming. It never said he has to be some super glorious guy. And then, of course, we Christians dress it up like, oh, look, he's on the cross. Isn't that glorious? And then he died. The humans killed him, and then he rose again. Isn't that great, Sharky? And then only the 500 or so, 500 or 600 saw him alive. Then he went up into heaven, Yeah, that's pretty glorious. Hey, Jews, you guys that don't believe in Jesus, isn't that glorious enough? And they're like, no, we're still waiting for the Messiah someday, Sharky. And then supposedly when Christ comes again, I don't know why he has to come again either. It doesn't address that here. This the Atheist Alliance 15 or 10 pieces of evidence against Christianity, at least. There is no good evidence against God, you guys. Like me, Clark the Shark. There's only tons of good reasons why I believe in God. The fact that the world is the perfect distance from the sun, the perfect tilt, the perfect four seasons, the perfect amount of oxygen, the perfect amount of carbon, DNA, quarks, atoms, molecules, all these things that have to exist or the Earth couldn't exist. Jupiter and what's it called? Saturn, big planets that protect the Earth from asteroids and killer comets and killer space rocks. There's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of evidence that say there is a God. I'm kind of a Christian deist, you guys. I'm like a Christian agnostic. I believe I'm like, dude, having just complete blind faith in it is crazy. Like you'll end up just going insane or being one of those, just like some nutcase and then not believing in it. I'm like, dude, I don't want like God to send me to hell. You're just left like, you don't know what to do. And then there's people that are like, well, you have to go to church and go to all the rituals, the commandments, the sacraments, everything's a sacrament. Marriage is a sacrament, I just, dude, if you just believe like that, it could inhibit your life. And it did me, like when I was younger, me, Clark the Shark, I threw away everything to basically be like a human priest. Even when I was in my band in GE, I had a very rigid Christian ideology and idealism about everything that was centered around Christ and Christianity. And maybe I still do. I don't know, you guys, but now today at age 58, I'm more of a guy who I'm like, dude, I don't know if Yahweh was the real God, or I hope Christ was. I hope Yahweh was. I'm not, if I really was totally 100% sure, dude, I'd be like one of those guys flying jets into buildings or something. Like you don't want to be 100% sure. If you are, dude, then you'll just go become like that. You'll just be insane, and crazy. Or maybe you'll just be this gentle guy who's like, look, Sharky, I can point to you the reasons why, like Mr. Rogers or like Ned Flanders or something, right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. I don't know what to tell you guys. I do not know what to tell you. A lot of you go to the Catholic faith or Protestant, Baptist, or various Calvinist, Lutheran, Anglican, Christian, various churches without even knowing what you're doing. You don't even know what it is you're worshiping. And maybe that's how God wants it. You just blind prayer and faith to Christ. And maybe I've made the mistake of doing too much thinking into this and deducting it, with deductive reasoning, like geniuses do. And then when you get too smart, you end up dumb and stupid. Isn't that great, God? God's like, see, Sharky, I made you so smart that you're dumb. And you just question and all that. But there is clear evidence that prayer does not work, despite the Bible promising all prayers will be answered. That's a stupid one, for these guys to write as their number one. Like, prayer doesn't work. Dude, nothing works. I mean, sometimes your car engine doesn't start, or, sometimes your electricity to your house goes out and you got to call the electric company or get a new fuse, or, I don't know who these people are that think things are guaranteed for tomorrow. You might get in a car wreck or something. I mean, there is clear evidence that prayer doesn't work, dude. I mean, prayer might only work 1/4 of the time. I mean, the Bible kind of says and implies that. Like, you never know if it will work. It was never intended. If prayer was to always work, we would all win the lottery the next day. I could just say, Lord, I want to know the lottery numbers for Fantasy 5 or Mega Millions. And then he would give it to me. But that wouldn't be fair, you guys. That wouldn't be free will. And just as Neil Peart said, I will choose a path that's clear. You know, you can go for like some ready guide or some celestial voice. And if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Some of you can choose phantom fears and kindness that can kill. Shark will choose a path that's clear. I will choose free Shark at 1-800-449-8255 right here on the fabulous, amazing Clark the Shark Show. I'm not going to live forever, you guys. It's not really a sharkulation. It's God messing with us. Even worse, you guys, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And there's no way out of the shark tricks or the matrix or whatever it's called, where Shark is just playing a practical joke on all of you. Kind of like MTV Punk'd, you know, with Ashton Kutcher. Actually, I'm not doing it, you guys. God is doing it. You know that God that you love so much and you worship and pray to? Yeah, dude. No tomorrow guaranteed, bro. Could be a car wreck, or you could just fall off the Grand Canyon. You won't even jump off. You'll just slip off, you know, like a baby bird is pushed out of the nest or something at 1-800-449-8255 on the Clark the Shark Show. But I say, still believe, you guys. Still pray. You know, one thing that keeps me going is I get mystery money. Like, all of a sudden, I'll look at my bank and there's like 20,000 in there. I don't know where it comes from. It comes from the universe. And God's like, here, Shark, here's 20,000. And I'm like, cool, what's that for? And he's like, because usually your bank account is on like $5. And I do that to punish you. And I'm like, what did I do, God? And he's like, you know what you did, Shark. You only deserve $5 in your bank. Most of the time, most of your 58 years, you look at your bank and there's like $5. I'm like, yeah, that's not right. And then all of a sudden there's 30 grand in there. And I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? And God's like, I did that, Shark, because right now I'm in a good mood and I'm doing airdrops. And I'm like, cool. And that's how I survive, you guys. I'm just living hand to mouth most of the time. And then all of a sudden, I get all this money. So if you're asking me, Clark the Shark, do I believe in God? Yeah, dude, the guy pays me money sometimes. It's actually financially beneficial right here on the Clark the Shark Show. But remember, you could end up in a car wreck or with COVID, or God only knows, tomorrow, bro. You could accidentally cut your hand off with a meat slicer. Or even worse, have to work at the deli at Vons or Stater Brothers. Think about it, you guys. It's true. 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. I'm out of here. Peace.